Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. I'm Dr. Jenn, the Intuitive Phoenix, here because I would love to chat with you about psychics, mediums, and animal communication. Oh my. I'd love to hear your questions. Share some scoop. Hey, Melissa. And just connect around this topic. Get the word out. Hear the word. So if you pop on, say hello. Let me know that you're here. And I decided to jump on here because I have found myself over the past weeks. Hey, it's good to see you. Over the past weeks, because I chose the name the Intuitive Phoenix. Oh, it seems like forever ago now. And because I referred to my ability at that time as intuition and talked about intuition on demand. And now, as things continue to evolve and grow and expand in ways that I never could have imagined, I find myself using and owning the words psychic and medium and animal communicator. And I wonder what other people know about this. So again, if you're here, say hello. If you join at a later time and you're watching a replay, post #replay. And if you've got questions, because I'd love to know what people's questions are about psychics and mediums and animal communication and, well, just about this topic in general, because I can tell you the only thing, until my experience of this, what I knew about it is what I might see in a movie. Hey, Gail. What I might see in a movie or a TV show. And of course, in those cases, often psychics and mediums, I can't say I really remember animal communicators at all, but psychics and mediums were not often portrayed in a positive light. So I find myself certainly for a long time not willing to utilize those words and own those titles for myself. And, well, frankly, that didn't feel good. You know, I was talking to my project manager the other day, I guess this was a couple of weeks ago, and she was asking me some questions, and basically the question was, with the way I was talking, did I start to own these terms? Did I start to recognize the gifts that I've been given in these realms? So, of course, feel free for those who are here, again, whether it's live or a replay, to ask your questions, to share your thoughts. Because I found myself earlier today trying to wrap my head around me as a legitimate healer, using terms like psychic and medium, animal communicator. Because again, what my experience has been from movies and from TV, and not portraying people who claimed that title for themselves as like valid, as something you could rely on. And now, as someone who experiences it and receives information, I can't deny it. I know I did when I was younger. I know that I used to know things and might ask questions. I used to ask a lot of questions growing up, and it made people uncomfortable because I wanted to know and understand things. And whether it was because I didn't understand what I was experiencing or seeing or knowing at the time, but what I came to realize is it made people uncomfortable. And so as a kid, I shut it down. I ignored it. I stopped speaking about it. And, over the last years, that has shifted and changed where, hi, Sarah, welcome, where I couldn't not pay attention to it. So I started recognizing when my intuition, I used to call it a little nudge, but I still call it a little nudge, but it might be say this or ask this. And I would, and the person would be like, hey, Michael, how could you know this? Like, why would you ask that? And when we would dive into it a little bit more, people would say, well, the reason I'm asking, like, how could you have known this or why you asked this is because I know that there's no way you could know this, but yet, like, I forgot to tell you this, or I forgot to share this, or this happened. And again, you couldn't have known. So I know there's some people who jumped on here. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. And for those of you who don't know me, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to share your thoughts about this topic, because it's one of the reasons I decided to do this, is because, well, frankly, I'm new to talking about it. I'm new to being visible with it. It's work that I've done individually with people as part of more general healing work. Yeah, I guess it's the best way I could describe it. But not as this being a form of healing, where now I use my psychic ability, my ability as a medium, my ability as an animal communicator to work with people, help people heal who are still with us, to communicate and connect with people who have passed, and to communicate with animals, whether they're still with us or have passed, and have witnessed such healing, such confirmation, such a level of connection. Okay, so Michael says, weird stuff happening, like things moving and falling down in the house. Any ideas? Okay, so I assume, Michael, that this is in your house. Let me see if I'm getting any information. Michael, I am getting information. So I do get that you have a guest. I'm getting that there's nothing to be concerned about, or to be afraid of, or there's not any bad intent. I will say that. This person has been trying to, well, connect with you. Is your grandmother on your father's side still with us, still living, or has your grandmother on your father's side passed? And this is for Michael if he's still here. And for those of you who might be joining me again for the first time, if you've got questions, feel free to ask. If you've, whether it's like a question like Michael has or a more direct question of me, and because I'm communicating with Michael right now doesn't mean that you can't communicate. So if somebody else has other questions or other comments, you can feel free to share those here. I can be jumping around because I'm waiting, because I'm getting, Michael, that it's grandmother, first grandmother. Oh, I'm getting that it's actually your father's grandmother. So your great grandmother. So I'd like to know, Michael, what you know about your great grandmother on your father's side. And what you know of her. So again, one of the reasons I jumped on here was because I wanted to find out what people think about psychics, what your experience has been with psychics or mediums or animal communicators. Has it been a good experience? Have you wondered about doing it but haven't for whatever reason? Or, or have you been hesitant because you didn't know one? Or you wanted to know what to expect? And that's certainly one of the questions that I've had is like, what can you expect from a psychic or a medium or an animal communicator? And of course, I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for my own experience. I had never worked with a psychic before. I had never worked with a medium before. I have personally hired an animal communicator, and it was a wonderful experience because it was obvious that this woman had connected with my pets. She knew things about them. She understood their personalities. So my only experience was a positive one. Okay, so Michael says, not much to be honest. I know that she lived in London during the war. Okay. So Michael, let me see if there's a message for you. All right, Michael, what I'm getting is that she does have a message for you. She wants to get to know you. She would be open for you to like start to get to know her, much as if she was still here. You can start to have conversations with her. You can start to put questions out to her. Information, if you're open to it, information will start to come. I mean, one of the things with some of the women or some of the clients that I work with, when they start connecting with people who have passed, often what they come back to is they're surprised at how easy it is to start communicating with those who have passed once they open to it. So if you are at all interested in doing that, please do, because she would like to communicate with you. Is there something specific that she wants you to know? Okay, I'm not getting that there's something specific that she wants you to know, but she can become a source of support because, well, she's going to know more. She's going to know more about what's going on around you in your life. I don't know if I have the language, in the spirit realm, to use that word. And she can help guide you at times when you are experiencing doubt when you could use a source of wisdom or a source of support, somebody who has your back, but yet isn't pushing you to take a certain outcome. So that is, I'd say, Michael, that's the message that your great-grandmother wants to share with you, that she is ready, willing, and available to support you in a way that, is loving and supported, as a grandmother would want her, in this case, great-grandmother would want her great-grandson to get the most and experience the most in life. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions, Michael. And then let's see, Sarah says, have I got someone trying to contact me from the spirit side? Sarah. Sarah, I do get yes. You're welcome, Michael. Sarah, I do get yes. Let me see if I can give you any other information. I do get it, it's female. Do you have somebody in mind? Sarah, are you thinking it's somebody in particular? And of course, for those who are watching, those who have joined, feel free to say hello. I'd love to know, and say where you are. I'd love to know where people are jumping in from. And you may or may not have heard, but one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want to connect with people who have questions, who want to know more. And I put some questions out there earlier that I would love to know, like what your experience has been. Has it been a good experience? A not so good experience? What occurred for you? I mean, feel free to post this. Because I shared a couple of minutes ago that, my only experience with this prior to experiencing it through me, first was as an animal communicator, using an animal communicator. And then my wife is someone who has communicated with her ancestors who have passed. So I also had that experience. And then as it started to happen with me, okay, so Sarah says, not really, as most of my relatives died before I was born. I'm from Wales. Okay. Thank you for sharing where you're from. Let me see. Okay. This is interesting and typical, I'll say. A lot of times when I hold healing groups, and this may be the case tonight, that a theme or a connection starts to occur with the people who are showing up. And what I'm receiving right now for you, Sarah, is similar to Michael, and that is, it's your great-grandmother on your father's side. Let me see, is the message different than the message to Michael? No. The message is very similar. Is it similar? No. Is it the same? Yes. Okay. The message is the same, and that is your great-grandmother on your father's side is wanting to make a connection with you, is willing to have a relationship with you, wants to be a source of support, a source of connection, would like to be someone that you can communicate with and connect with and seek for wisdom and support. Now, I often describe starting to communicate with people who have passed much like making a phone call or sending a text message and sometimes having to leave a message. So if you have tried to communicate with someone who has passed and you wonder if you've gotten a response. If you feel like maybe you haven't, imagine it like you have left a voicemail and know that, okay, I'm going to dive into this in a second, Sarah, and that they may have left a message. Oh, okay, Sarah's your partner. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. And that it's much like leaving a message, and it may take some time for them to get back to you. So you may put the question out there, like tonight, for instance. Okay, is it the same person that's coming through that you're recognizing? No. Okay, this is in fact each of your individual great-grandmothers on your father's side. Are they both knocking things down? No. Okay, they're not both knocking things down. It is Michael's great-grandmother on his father's side who's knocking things down, moving things. Not Sarah's, but she is also sharing this message. So just know that, you know, like you could leave or ask a question today and the message may come hours, days, or even longer from now. So if you feel in the future that, oh, is this coming from my great-grandmother? Or is this information for me? Or is there something there? The answer I would say at that point is yes. So it doesn't necessarily like question asked and information received. I say that because I don't want you to doubt or to think like, oh, well, I said something or I shared something or I asked something and I don't feel like I've gotten a response. Maybe I'm not doing this right, or maybe it's not really her. I wouldn't say that that's the case. I would just say that the message has not yet been received by your great-grandmothers yet. So Sarah, your great-grandmother went missing in the 1920s, 30s. Okay. Okay. I don't know how much it was known, Sarah, as far as your great-grandmother and her going missing. What I'm getting is that she initially left by choice, whether it was to go somewhere, to meet someone, It was not her choice to not return. She would have returned. Is this true? Yeah, she would have returned if she could have. Let's see. Great-grandfather was married 4 times. Do you know which one it is? Do I know which one it is? Yes. Was it his first wife? No. Second wife. I'm getting that it was his second wife. Yeah, I'm getting that it was his second wife, which is the one that is communicating or making a connection or wanting to make a connection with you. Let me see, is there anything else from either of these great-grandmothers that wants to be shared? And I would add that they are both just interested. They're interested if you are, they're open to it if you are, and they're looking forward to the possibility of furthering or developing a relationship. Let me see, is there anything else to share with Sarah? Yes. Is it about her great-grandmother? No. About anybody else who's trying to come through? No. Okay. Sarah, do you have a decision that you're trying to make right now? I'd say it's a pretty important decision that you're trying to make right now. Something to do with Something to do with work. Okay. And for those who are watching or watching later, Sarah says yes. Well, there's a message coming through, Sarah, about this decision. And what I'm getting is, it is, and I use the word recommended. And where I receive my information, I refer to it as I receive information from guides. I do not, it's not one being, it's not, I wouldn't use the word I get my information from the universe. I do get guides as far as when I check in, and there's not a name for my guides, and that universe is not a big enough word to describe who and how I receive the information. It's bigger than that. So with that being said, the recommendation that's coming through, and part of the message for you, Sarah, is that it is in your highest and best interest to make that decision in 2019. To not necessarily make the decision today. I'm getting no, like, but it's not something to bring into undecided in 2020. Does that make sense? So don't make the decision, like, they're not asking you to make a decision now, and they're recommending that you make it before the end of the year. Let me see if there's anything else to say about that. Is there any other information that can be offered to Sarah? Sarah, is there a way that you're leaning as far as the decision? And is there something, okay. So the first question, is there a way that you're leaning? And what I want you to do is, whatever the decisions are, number them and tell me how many there are. You know, it might be yes or no, but it might be, you might have more than two choices. And tell me, and then the other question is, okay. And is there one that feels like it's a yes, but it also feels like something is in the way? Now, if you're just joining in, feel free to say hi and let me know that you're here, and feel free to, and I would love to know, like, where you are joining me from. I see that we've got a few people that are here. but we only have a couple that are communicating. You can feel free to ask questions about something in your own life. You can ask questions of me, and we can go from there. I also am open to hearing about your experiences or previous experiences with psychics, mediums, and animal communicators, because I'd love to know that too. So feel free to share, even as I'm communicating right now with Sarah. Okay. So I was just asking Sarah is if one of her options for the decision is something that she's leaning towards, and it feels like there's something in the way. And she said yes. So I'm receiving some information about that. Okay, Sarah, what I'm actually what I'm receiving is whatever that thing that you feel like is in the way. The way it's coming to me is it can be easily dissolved, and as easy as dropping sugar or like salt in water, and that dissolves. Yeah, so it wants to be shared with you that it can be as easy as that. And if it's helpful, you can visualize that or actually even do it. Something that easily dissolves in water, you can get a cup or a bowl of water and imagine that this thing that's in the way, that when you drop the salt or the sugar into the water and you see it dissolve, that's what's happening to what's in front of one of your choices. It wants you to know that it does not have to be like feel big and impossible. And you also asked, is there anything about a move? Is there something about a move? And I do get yes. So to answer your question, I do get yes to that there is something about a move. Let me see, is there more information available to Sarah about a move? I get no, not at this time. Is that some of the information that may become available to her in 2019? I do get that information. Oh, okay. It's information that you can ask for from your great-grandmother. She can help you clarify that. I know for me, it seems like, oh, wow. But use her as a resource. She's available as a resource. She's willing to be a resource. And so you can imagine yourself working through this decision with her support, and she will be able to provide you further insight. Yes. Okay, I am getting confirmation of that. All right. Anybody else who's here have any questions or comments or experiences that either they would like to share, because I'd love to know, or that you're wondering about for yourself? And thank you, Sarah and Michael, for jumping on here, for sharing where you are, for sharing this information, especially since we haven't met. So it's been wonderful to connect with you. I appreciate your time and your willingness to do this, because as I said, I want to be able to have more of these conversations. I want to know, if you have questions, if you have thoughts, what you want to know, and if there is something that I certainly can help and support with. Oh, you're very welcome, Michael. Thank you. All right, everyone. I will hang around another moment or two to see if somebody else says or shares questions that they might have. And I will be sharing soon a podcast that I have been a part of, that I just started being a part of, and it's called Conversations from the Edge. And it is conversations like this. It's conversations, well, that you might not be able to have with everyone, but that you, well, certainly can have with me. So I will, once that goes live, I will start sharing that. Michael says we're looking to move together in January. Okay, is there something that, let's see, that Michael can do to support this move? No, okay. I'm just checking in, Michael and Sarah, to see if there's anything else that wants to be shared, wants to be said. Okay, I'm getting no. Sarah goes on to say, I dreamt once that my Nan had come to see me and was saying goodbye. The next day my mom had told me that my Nan had died. So I said to my mom, I know that she had told me I was only a child. Yes. And I say yes because in the people that I've talked to and some of my clients, and I know for myself, there are things that occurred when we were kids, and then that might be the last time that things occurred for us. That as we get older, or depending on the response that we get from our parents, from the elders or the adults in our life, maybe, well, has affected whether or not we continued in that way, whether or not we remained open for that type of conversation to have. So part of the reason, so Sarah, with you sharing this with me, what wants to be said is this ability is still very much within you to connect and to communicate like as easily as that was. It's in you as well, Michael. If you had any question about that, we all have these abilities. I actually, before I got on here and decided to do this, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. It was because an event that I had in my Facebook group, one of the women who joined said, I wanted to talk to you because a family member who's passed I've been communicating with. And not everybody in my family is really thrilled that, one, I am clearly communicating with this person, and they're wondering, you know, family members are wondering about it, not sure about it, uncomfortable with it. And I really wanted to just, start a dialogue about this, start a conversation about this that gave people a space to start talking about it. And while I'm thinking about it, let me see if I can manage to do it while I'm still live. I will share my Facebook group for those who may be interested in joining. I'm going to put it in the comments. You can feel free to join my group for those who are interested. I do trainings in the group. We have conversations in the group. We have happy hours in the group. I mean, we do it virtually because people are from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And so it is open to people who want to join. I just shared the link. You can click on it. There's a couple of questions that I ask people to answer. And once I get that, then I will approve you. Hey, Jen, good to see you. So hello again. I'm seeing some of the numbers of people who are joining is continuing to increase. If you're just joining, say hello. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're coming in from. And if you've got questions, I jumped on here because I wanted to talk about psychics and mediums and animal communication, because it's been something that has evolved and expanded for me into these areas, my healing work. You know, for the last 10 years, I have worked as, until earlier this year, I have worked as a doctor of chiropractic, providing healing through chiropractic. And my intuition, I will say, got reconnected. I was aware of that reconnection, and then it expanded, at least this is the way I would describe it and the way it feels for me, into a more psychic ability, that using the word intuition wasn't enough to describe what I was experiencing, and then also into communicating with people who have passed, and then animals, whether they were still present or had passed. And just really wanted to kind of get a pulse out there of people and what their experiences are, whether you've had good ones, whether you've had not so good ones, like what questions that you might have. So if you have had experiences with psychics or mediums or animal communicators before, I'd love to know. And feel free to type that in the comments. Or if there's something that you want to know about that, feel free to type that in the comments. And then, of course, if you've looked at any of the comments, Michael and Sarah have joined from the UK, and they had some questions about some experiences that were happening in their home. And so we talked about that and addressed that. So I'm looking at this point for, information from y'all. And I also, for those who are interested, put my link for my Facebook group in the comments for those who may be interested in joining. It's free to join. And hey, Patty. Okay, wonderful. Patty says yes, she has had experience, and hers have mostly been awesome. It's so good to hear. I know my experiences as I've continued to step out this and share it publicly. I've been doing it one-to-one with people and in small groups, and it continues to expand and evolve to the point that now I'm being like more public. I feel like I've come out many times in my life, and most recently in these ways, and really just continuing to own me, continuing to express me and share me. So thank you, Patty, for sharing that. And of course, if you have any questions directly for me, feel free to ask those. And I appreciate your response. As I shared at the start of this, one of the reasons I had jumped on here to do this is I found myself today, having worked and still licensed as a doctor of chiropractic, that to have moved in a direction of something that is often not seen as valid, not seen as legitimate. I find that coming up for me, and sometimes causing some internal unease, which I find that when I speak honestly and directly and connect with others is one of the best ways to address that for me, which is one of the reasons I jumped on here to do this tonight. So again, for those who have joined, say hello, let me know where you're from. And that's whether you've joined live or you do watch this as a replay at some point. If you do watch it as a replay, I'd love for you to type hashtag replay. And then, even then, ask your questions, share your comments, your thoughts. I'm open to receive it and I will respond. All right. Well, I'll wait another moment just to see if anything else comes in, and if not, then I'm probably going to wrap this up because it has been a long day. A good day, but a long day. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to call it an evening. Thank you again for those who joined in and who shared information and asked questions. I appreciate your time and your input and your involvement. Thank you for that. And until we connect again, I'm sending you lots of love. And of course, all things fucking fantastic. Until we connect again, I'll talk to you later.